Right now on Sports Extra, a not-so-sweet ending for Georgia Tech in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. We're taking a look at the highs and lows of the Jackets season. Meanwhile, Georgia hopes for a sweet result in the Sugar Bowl. How can the Dogs take down Ole Miss and advance in the college football playoffs? Plus, another stress-free Sunday for Falcons fans. We're getting you ready for Monday Night Football against the Rams.
Unfortunately, we didn't make plays down the stretch to be able to come out with a win. Again, credit to BYU for how they played. But I'm going to soak in every last moment I have with these guys.
It doesn't matter if you have a team full of seniors or a team full of freshmen. You better develop your roster and grow so that when you're at your best when your best is needed.
And we're looking ahead to 2026. What do we want to see in sports next year? Sports Extra starts right now. Welcome into Sports Extra, folks. I'm Marcus Greaves. Joined with me is Jarvis Davis of Locked On Georgia Tech. Appreciate you. Nice jacket, brother. And of course, our guy Reeves Jackson from 11 Alive, second week in a row, man. How we feel?
In studio,
Let's
man.
go, man. Hey, staying employed. That's what matters. Fellas, before we get into anything, how was Christmas, man? Y'all had a great time?
Absolutely, man. It was wonderful. The babies got taken care of. Santa Claus came and gave them what they wanted, and hey, man, that's all that matters.
Hey, little heavy pockets for Santa Claus, huh?
Oh yeah, they like that.
Reeves, how about you, man? How was
man,
it?
Santa was great. Christmas was great. Just spent time with family, and that's all you can ask for.
Come on, man. It's all we could ask for. We were asking for a Georgia Tech win to end their season, and it was looking like it was going to be just that. Georgia Tech had a 2-possession lead over BYU in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. They unfortunately did not come away victorious, losing 25-21. End the season 9-4, still a great season, but what do we think about that performance? And Jarvis, we'll start with you, brother.
You know what, man? It was a valiant effort, right? Mm-hmm. I like what Chris Rinke did in the first half. I think that second half they kind of got away from the run game. A little bit more too dependent on Haynes King throwing the football, which we know that he can do it, but that's not his strength. I think the call quarterback runs got a little light on those. Mm-hmm. I think he should have done that a little bit more. But I think overall it was a solid effort. The defense, kind of got a little leaky in the second half of this game, and we know that BYU with Bear Bachmeier and what he was able to do, throwing the football and using his arm, and knowing that he was limited running the football, I think there should have been a little bit more emphasis on making him, heating him up a little bit, and I think that Blake Gideon didn't do that.
Yeah. Reeves, what do you think, brother?
Yeah, I agree with Jarvis. I mean, I feel like there was a time even late in the game, the last drive of the game, where Haynes King rolls out, throws the ball to the end zone, but I thought he had a chance to run it up that right side and get Tech even 5-6 yards closer with 2 more plays left. So that's the tough part. I think they could have ran the ball a little bit more, and it's just disappointing that it was that end of the season for Georgia Tech, just 1-4 down the stretch. And it feels like they could have ended the season on a much better note, especially leading BYU most of that game. So tough to see that.
Yeah, it is tough to see, and it's also tough to see a guy like Haynes King having to hang up the cleats, in his last game for the Yellow Jackets. I mean, what kind of legacy is he leaving behind? As you could argue he's probably a top 5 player in Tech history. I mean, and Reeves, will start with you. What legacy we think he's leaving? Yeah,
I mean, honestly, I feel like his legacy started last year in Athens with that game against Georgia. I mean, 5 total touchdowns, even though they lost that 8 overtime game. He played most of that game, crazy enough, with a torn labrum. He was battling that down toward the latter half of the season. And then you swing into 2025, and Georgia Tech starts 8-0. They get as high as number 7 in the country. Haynes King dominating. I mean, they picked up early wins against Colorado, against Deion's team. They had that last-second field goal against Clemson. Riding high, you had the Haynes for Heisman campaign starting off at Georgia Tech. And Haynes at one point was leading the nation in rushing touchdowns through 8 weeks in the season, still finished top 10. So his legacy is an all-time high. People are going to remember Haynes King. The only disappointing part is what if? Yeah. And just that end of the stretch that I was talking about to end the season. But outside of that, I mean, Haynes King will be remembered, and he's a great player, first-team All-ACC as well.
Yeah, and head coach Brent Key talked about Haynes King so much, but I also want to talk about Brent Key. I mean, he's done a fantastic job with Tech so far. Jarvis, I mean, how do you think he's done so far as a head coach, and then looking forward for the Jackets? Maybe what can we expect from him?
Well, let me go back to the previous coach, the guy who came after Paul Johnson, Jeff Collins, who was the worst coach in Georgia Tech history, just from a win percentage standpoint, right? So coming off of that, he was 10-28. Brent Key comes in, he takes over as an interim, goes 4-4, and then he's 27-19. You had back-to-back 7-win seasons, and now you got the 9-game win season, and this close to having winning 10 games for the first time since 2014. When we put all those things together, you have to say this class with Haynes King and them coming in, they established a legacy. They established something. They've turned this program around, and it started with a guy like Haynes King coming in and being that one constant that you have under center in today's world of NIL.
Yeah, and head coach Brinke always talks about just the fact of keeping guys around is very important, but at the same time, that's just how things go. Transfer portal, guys come in, guys go out. I mean, that's just college football now, and he's openly said it. They have to adjust. Now, let's switch gears real quick because it's not just Georgia Tech, obviously, who played, but we had the Dogs coming up against Ole Miss for a second time this season in the second round of the college football playoffs. Very interesting matchup. Obviously, no Lane Kiffin for Ole Miss, but against Tulane, they looked fantastic. I mean, Reeves, we'll start with you. What do you think we can expect in this second matchup between these two teams?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting when you look at the rematch here on paper. The last time they played, Georgia had one of the worst defenses in the SEC at the time. Georgia's really fixed up the defense. They're now, at the end of the season, they ranked the second best defense in the SEC, and then you compare that to Ole Miss, who has the highest ranked offense in the SEC. So when you look at the teams left in college football, it really very well could be the best defense right now and the best offense right now in college football. And we know how that first game went. It was who could stop who first. Georgia got multiple stops against Ole Miss in that fourth quarter. Ole Miss couldn't stop Georgia the whole day, scoring on every possession. Georgia's 6.5-point favorites right now. I think that may be a little too high, but this game does mean a lot for Georgia, like we talked about last week. Sugar Bowl was a very disappointing end of their season last year.
It was. Could they get some revenge in the Sugar Bowl again? Jarvis, will ask you, what do you think?
I think this is one of those games where you look at the way Gunnar Stockton has been playing, the way this offense has looked with him under center, right? Coming into the season, there were a lot of questions, specifically for myself. Like, hey, I don't know if he can be that guy, but he's shown time and time again when a play needs to be made, Mike Bobo is putting the ball in it, putting the rock in his hands. Because you haven't an established running back, which what we're used to. Like, Georgia goes to sleep and finds 4-star, 5-star running backs, and they go on to the NFL and have great careers, right? So when you don't necessarily have that guy in that backfield, you can give the rock to Gunnar Stockton and say, hey, man, make a play for us. You saw that in that Tennessee game, and you saw how he played in that Ole Miss game. So I think the second time around, that's what you're going to have to lean on. I feel like they're going to lean on Gunnar, and they're going to figure out a way to get a win.
Got to get your best players the ball, especially when it matters late in the season. We're talking playoffs, man. Come on. I mean, that's what you have them for as your best players. All right, coming up, we have to wait an extra day for the Falcons this week. What the Dirty Birds need to do to get a win tomorrow night against the Rams. Stick around. It's coming up right after the break. All right, welcome back to the show. The Falcons will be back in the Benz tomorrow against the Rams for some Monday Night Football. Atlanta's won 2 in a row. Can they make it 3 in a row is a question. Jarvis, we'll start with you, man. What do you think?
It's possible. Anything is possible, right? When you talk about the way this team has been playing, and as long as they're getting that guy number 7 to rock, yeah, they got a chance. But I think ultimately it boils down to protecting Kirk Cousins, being able to establish a running game by turning around and handing it off to number 7. And I think that 25, Tyler Algier should get some touches as well. I think when those guys when Bijan gets going early, I think Tyler Algier coming in to close out game, that is the perfect scenario. If I'm Zach Robinson, that's what I dream about going to bed at night. 7 getting us started, and then Tyler Algier coming in and closing the thing down and finishing it off. So yeah, I think they do have a chance, but it all starts with them being able to establish the run against a pretty tough Rams defense.
Yeah, and the Rams are clicking on all cylinders right now. Reeves, do you think they're going to be able to get the job done?
The Rams aren't. They have, likely, we're going to talk about it, but the MVP frontrunner in Matthew Stafford. Maybe the only Christmas miracle right now is that Devontae Adams is out, but you still got to deal with Puka Nacua, 2 very physical running backs, and Kyron Williams and Blake Corum. And then if you're the Falcons, you got to get pressure on Matthew Stafford. We know he's not very mobile out of the pocket, but you still have quick routes to Puka and a very good running game. So it's going to be tough for the Falcons. They beat the Bills on Monday Night Football, so maybe Monday Night Football will be their friend. But the Rams are, I think, the NFC representative in the Super Bowl this year, but we'll see.
Yeah, definitely, in my opinion, might be a Super Bowl favorite because they have been balling, and they wouldn't be balling without, of course, Matthew Stafford, the former dog. Reeves, you kind of already said it, so we'll start with you. Do you think Matthew Stafford is that front runner for MVP?
I do, and I think if I'm comparing him to someone right now, Drake May, New England's another guy who I think is up there. And it's not a knock on Drake May. I think he's going to win MVPs in the future. But if you look at Matthew Stafford's, multiple. Maybe
more than one. Okay.
But if you look at Matthew Stafford right now, best touchdown to interception ratio in the NFL, and I was actually looking at the side-by-side comparison. They had the 2014 quarterbacks in the NFL compared to this year's guys. Through 15 weeks, you have guys like Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, who won the MVP that year, Matt Ryan on there as well. And the only guy who really even compares to those guys through 15 weeks is Matthew Stafford. 40 touchdowns already. He's still got 2 games left to add to those numbers. And with what the Rams are doing and how successful they have been in the NFC, still battling for an NFC West title with the Seattle Seahawks. Got to give it to the Georgia guy there. I think he's the MVP front runner.
Yeah, he definitely, he's got to be at this point. And I got an interesting thing for you, Jarvis, so I do want to ask, because we got multiple reports this afternoon from Jay Glazer and The Athletic that Matt Ryan could potentially get a front office role with the Falcons. If so, how big would that be for this organization, Jarvis?
I don't know how big it would be, but I would have a lot of questions because here's the thing. Man, Matt Ryan can be a rock star if he wants to from a broadcasting standpoint. So he has to understand, okay, what type of quality of life do I want to have? Do I want to be on private planes, flying the city working only 1 day a week? Or do I want to come and try to fix the organization that I knew from the inside out, because I know all the downfalls that they've had. I was a part of some of those things. I was part of 28-3. You know, I still have to live with that being Huntington's team to this day. So I will have a lot of questions. So my first one would be, is he going to be the assistant general manager? What are we talking about? You're talking about a prominent role, because I've said that the only way the Falcons can fix themselves is they bring in someone who can be the head of the football operations and come in and assess their team from top to bottom. I mean, top to bottom, and for a year, and kind of then make some decisions to hire and fire, and kind of leave that, you know, that task take that away from Arthur Blank. So yeah, I don't know if this is a great idea, but it just leads me to question this organization a little bit more.
Hey, maybe it's just some nostalgia. Maybe Falcons fans would just be, it would be nice to see him in a role like that. We don't know. We just know Jarvis doesn't think so.
Are we tired of that?
Hey, we could go on.
Been sold on stuff?
We could go on, but of course.
I want football stuff, man. I'm trying to sell me on this stuff.
Hey, but before Jarvis starts going too crazy, we got our Georgia spotlight. We're going to go back for this one. I'm talking about Malik Willis. The Roswell grad had himself a great game Saturday night, and despite the end result, Willis threw for 288 yards and a touchdown while also running for 80 yards against the Ravens. Another week stepping up as the starter in place for Jordan Love. And he's doing his part. And, hey, what more could he do when Derrick Henry goes off for the Ravens? I'll answer that for you, nothing. All right, coming up. Things continue to not go well for the Hawks. What can they do to turn things around? We'll talk about that right after the break. All right, welcome back to the show. Let's talk Atlanta Hawks. And let me tell you, folks, it's getting a little rough. They've lost 6 in a row. Do you guys see any reason why the Hawks are just struggling so bad right now? Listen, this is an open floor because both of y'all have the same face right now. Jarvis, we'll start with you.
I think one of the things that you have to look at with the team is these guys are small, man.
Yeah.
They are small. You have a 6'8" center in Onyeka Okongwu. Now, granted, he's been playing amazing basketball, specifically against the New York Knicks. Dude had an awesome game. He was doing exactly what you want at that center spot in today's world, right? Sitting out there, make those corner threes, rebounding, doing exactly what he needs to do. But ultimately, the guy that was supposed to come in and fix that, and Kristaps Porzingis, is only played 13 games this year, and he's sitting on your bench, and it doesn't look like he's gonna come back anytime soon. So I think that ultimately that is, when you talk about going up against, you know, the big front line of the New York Knicks and how they've been playing so well, like one of the top 5 teams as far as record goes, you know, in the NBA. that's what you're going to get. You're going to get dominated on the boards, and there's nothing you can do about it. Guys can't sit in the closet and stretch themselves and get themselves taller before the game. So that's what you're going to get when you go up against teams like this.
Yeah, and folks were hoping that when Trae Young got back that things would change drastically. Now, they said it might take a little bit of time, but we're hitting a point right now where things are getting a little nervous. And Reeves, I got to ask you, do you think these struggles are because that Trae Young is back in this lineup?
I wouldn't say they're solely because of Trae Young, but the stats don't lie. The Hawks are a much worse defensive team when Trae Young is out there on the floor. They're last in the NBA in defensive efficiency when Trae Young is out there. They were 13-8 while he was out. They are 2-10 with him this year, including 0-6 since he returned. And since he's been back, they're the only team in the NBA to allow 125 or more points in every single game in that span. So I don't know what it is. His offensive prowess is great. He can shoot it with the best of them, but defensively, I mean, he was minus 15 last night in their loss. So something's wrong defensively with the Hawks. They were playing great defense. They were 10th in the NBA in the stretch that he was out when they were doing very well and 5 games above 500. So it's tough. I don't see I don't see the Hawks needing to give Trae a max extension, maybe build around Jalen, because it's 4 straight years of the Hawks going out either in the first round or the play-in since they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals in 2021.
Yeah, and it's tough to see because, again, we thought the Hawks were going to be something entirely different this season. Now, obviously, between injuries, Trae Young being out, coming back, things have been a little shaky, but it's all good. We got to talk New Year's resolution, though, fellas, because that's coming up on Thursday. Let's go, man. Hey, let's take a quick time out. But when we're back, I promise you it's going to be a good one. We're really talking New Year's resolution. Stick around. We'll be right back after the break. All right, welcome back into the show. With the new year coming up, we got to talk about what we want to see in the year 2026 on a local and national scale when we're talking sports. So, Jarvis, we'll start with you. On a local scale, what do you want to see happen in 2026?
You know what needs to happen, man? For me, Atlanta fans, I understand your plight. I understand your sentiment in this world. Like, if the Braves aren't competing for a World Series, we have no hope in Atlanta professional sports. I just don't. Because I don't buy into the Hawks right now. Who can? Nobody can. And the Falcons, they out the playoffs. So, and it looks bleak. So, yeah. Alex Anthopoulos, I need you to fix this so we can have some hope for 2026.
Okay, that's a solid one. I think everybody does. Braves fans especially would love to see that. Reeves, what about you, brother? What you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go a little more bleak here. I'm going to go for the Falcons to clean house this offseason. I know we talked about Matt Ryan, the potential front office hire, but I think it starts with Raheem Morris. I mean, I think 2 seasons has been more than enough to see what you have in him as a head coach. You have bad in-game decisions. You have terrible coordinator hires with Jimmy Lake last year. Zach Robinson hasn't done it for me this year in the past 2 seasons altogether. And then there's just been too many games where the Falcons don't look prepared. And what really stings is they really spent real draft capital and money to make the team better, and somehow they're underperforming what Arthur Smith did with a bad quarterback room and Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder. So that stings. And then you have a first-round pick that you don't even own next year that's probably a top 10 pick. But granted, you did get James Pierce Jr. out of that, and I don't think Terry Fontenot is off the hook either. The pass rush has kind of been his only win on the resume, but
I see the steam coming from your ears, man. I know you're fired up. Hey, for me, I want to see the Hawks make a big-time trade at the deadline. We're hitting a point now where I think Atlanta, they have been okay, but at this point, I don't know if okay is enough. I feel like for the last few seasons, honestly, ever since they made that one run to the Eastern Conference Finals, we haven't really seen them do much that has really made any sort of splash in the Eastern Conference, because right now the Eastern Conference is kind of weak. Now is your time to do something and make a run, whether that be trading Trae Young or Kristaps Porzingis. It doesn't matter to me. You just need to do something to make some sort of a splash, because this team is too young and too good to not be making some serious noise in the Eastern Conference. So that's what I got. But we want to go to a national scale now. Jarvis.
Yes.
On a national scale, what do you want to see happen in 2026?
Hey, NCAA, listen up. I'm looking at my camera right now. NCAA, I'm talking to you. Change the schedule. Like, this Lane Kiffin stuff should never happen again. It is time to not allow college teams to hire coaches until after the college football playoffs and the bowl season is complete. And then you can move back the transfer portal deadline and all that stuff, and you got to worry about having up all these rules and all that extra stuff. All you got to do is move it back until the entire season is complete, so we can not have all this controversy. I know people love controversy, drama, and all that stuff. It's something to talk about. I get it. But, man, it would make life so much easier if they were just to say, hey, don't hire anyone until the season is completely over, and then you push back the transfer portal to go with that accordingly.
Push everything back so it's not so confusing for everybody. Yeah, exactly. Reeves, what do you got, man?
Mine's big, and it's going to lean into 2027. A match for Major League Baseball to figure it out and to avoid a lockout heading into the season after this. Because right now, baseball is very popular. You obviously have Shohei Ohtani, who's the most well-known player. You had over 50 million people watch the World Series from the U.S. and Japan. So baseball is very popular right now, and you have a chance that it's going to be shut down for a period of time in 2027 because you have teams like the Dodgers out here who are record-setting payroll, but then you have teams in smaller and mid-markets who feel like they don't have a real shot. So that's going to be a big talking point in these winter meetings next year, and these discussions about a lockout is, are we going to have a salary cap? Are we going to have a salary floor? And I think maybe you go on more of an NFL basis because you have teams that are competing. It doesn't take as long to be bad and then compete again. So I think you got to control something because if the teams with the most money are just going to keep spending the most money, then they're going to win.
Yeah.
And you got to be able to have teams compete more, and that's going to be a talking
And make
point.
it seem reasonable, right? You can't have one team spend all this money while the other one's not. So, okay, real quick for me, they just got to figure out the college football playoff situation. Regardless, however we want to do it, if you let the smaller teams in, that's fine. If you let the other teams have to sit out, that's fine. But at least make it consistent for me because I'm getting too old. I'm getting too frustrated to not understand what teams deserve to be in and what teams don't. Fellas, you have seen it honestly all year. Everyone's been so confused of what makes you get into the playoffs, how do you stay in the playoff picture. Don't get me started. And our producer is out here showing Oregon clips. She knows I played at Oregon State, so please get the Oregon stuff off the screen, please. Man, I appreciate y'all being here, man. We gotta wrap it up though because we're getting yelled at for time. I'm just kidding. She's been great. All right, we've got a busy week ahead. Stay with us all week long on 11 Live for all your Sugar Bowl coverage. Have a safe and happy New Year. Of course, we will see you next year or next week. You know I had to do it. Have a good one, everybody. Appreciate you.